Okay, welcome back to the channel Pro Enzo Vids, and this afternoon's video is my pre-season week 1 tips and predictions. So first of all, how good the footy's back. It's obviously trials still, but it's literally, most clubs playing, and obviously, well, every club's playing obviously, but you see most big name players playing this weekend. You get to see how they sort of fare out for the new season ahead, and you sort of see some rookies again that not many people know, but will definitely want to make a good effort for themselves during the game they do play in. And yeah, it's an exciting week of football. Obviously on Friday you've got the All-Stars game as well, which I'll definitely talk about in a separate video. But on Saturday you've got the Charity Shield between Rabbitohs and the Dragons, which I'll be at. So yeah, I'll be at 2 games on the weekend. Manly Roosters. Then at half time I'll leave to get to the Charity Shield in time. So fingers crossed I get there. But yeah, I checked the train times, so the train times do tell that I'll get there on time. So yeah, well, it should be alright, but we'll see. It'll be a vlog combined of both games. But no, it should be a great weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead, and yeah, basically we'll give my tip every game across the weekend. But before I do start, if you are a new viewer to this YouTube channel, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel too, as well as commenting your tips and predictions in the comments section down below. Gotta say, like yesterday on the podcast, I said that I do appreciate everyone that got me to the goal of 3,900 subscribers. I got that goal finally, so now it's the road to 4K now. So yeah, it's incredible. So hopefully I get to 4K sooner rather than later. But again, thank you for the new support. Really do appreciate it. But let's get into it. Bulldogs versus Storm at Belmore. Right, it's on to the first game now. Bulldogs versus Storm at Belmore Sports Ground at 7 PM on Thursday night. So I'll tell you a funny stat. Most games have featured both Bulldogs and the Storm at Belmore Sports Ground I've been at. I think 2016 there was a trial there that I went to, or 2017, one of those 2 years. And then round 1, 2017, I was there too on a Friday night, 6 PM Friday game when the Bulldogs and Storm both played, and the Storm won 20-0, I think. So I've been at a few games between the Bulldogs and the Storm at Belmore, but won't be at this one obviously. But going through both sides, for the Bulldogs first of all, Blake Taaffe starts at fullback, so it'd be good to see how Taaffe goes at fullback. Their wingers are Blake Wilson and Jarrell Skelton. The centres are Eli Clark and Bronson Xerri, who will play his very first game since 2019 of Rugby League. Matt Burton and Drew Hutchison start in the halves, so Hutchison will get the first crack at halfback along with Burton in the halves. Max King and Samuel Hughes up front, hooker Reid Marnie, back rows Kitione Kautoga and Jacob Preston, and lock James Salmon. Interesting. And the bench is Toby Sexton, Pawasa Famasili, Liam Knight, and Jordan Samrani. So yeah, not bad at all. And for the Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen is back. He starts at fullback, so good to see Pappy back in action. The wingers are Dean Eremia, who's back from a long-term ACL injury. And his other winger is Tui Katoa, who actually used to play for the Bulldogs too, Tui Katoa, so he's at Melbourne now. The centres are Remus Smith, who's back as well, and Marion Seve. The halves are Keegan Russell Smith and Jonah Pezzett. And the props are Tristan Powell, Aaron Panay, hookers Bronson Garlic, back rowers Kane Bradley, Chris Lewis, and lock Trent Liero. And the bench is Tyron Wishart, Kaias Fatili, Lazarus Valipu, and Kobe Williamson. So that's their team right there for the Storm. Alright, my prediction for this game, be a close game, but I think Storm will win just because there's Pappenhausen in that team, and I think his impact will be huge if he's fit. And I think Remus Smith also being back from a long-term injury will also help. I think Bulldogs can win at Belmore in front of their home fans to start the year well, but I don't know. I think Storm will just hit the ground running and be Storm, I guess. So I'll go Storm by 4. First try scorer, I'll go Pappenhausen 2. And anytime try scorers, Tui Katoa, I believe he'll score against his former club. And also back in Chris Lewis. And for the Bulldogs, I'll go Jacob Preston and also Bronson Xerri score his first try in Rugby League since 2019. So there we go. That's my first prediction for the Bulldogs and the Storm. Alright, on to the very next game now. It is Knights taking on the Sharks at Industry Group Stadium. Oh, wait, what? Industry Super Stadium? I thought it was Industry Group Stadium, but I must have changed the name yet again. But okay, it's at Gosford anyway. And it's at 1:45 PM. It's a double header, by the way. So Knights Sharks first, which I'll be at because I'm going to the Manly Roosters game. But then after that game, it's Manly Roosters at 3:45 PM. So yeah, double header. How good. But I'll go through both Knights and the Sharks teams right now. So for the Knights, at fullback Fletcher Sharp. The wingers are new recruit Tom Jenkins and Greg Marzu. Centers are Nari Tawala and Christian Mapabalangi. Halves are Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings. Props Daniel Saifidi and Jacob Saifidi. Hooker Crossland. Back rows new recruit Jed Cartwright and Dylan Lucas, and lock Matt Croker. And the bench is Jack Hogger, Jack Heverington, Brady Jones, and Tom Cairns. So interesting how Gamble's starting at 6 and Hogger to the bench. And for the Sharks, it's Kay Dykes at fullback along with Sione Katoa and Samuel Stone Street as their wingers. The centers are Kyle Ira and Mawini Harodi, and the halves are Daniel Atkinson and Niwai Pribru. The props are Tom Hazelton and Oregon Kafusi, Jesse Colahoon and Teague Wilton are the back rowers, lock Cameron McInnes. And the back rowers are, the bench is Billy Burns, Jack Williams, Tuku Howard Tapua, and Lachlan Jake Crouch. So that's the teams of both Knights and the Sharks right there. My tip for this game, I'll go with the Knights just because there's more experience in that team. And I think Jackson Hastings and Tyson Gamble, or Hastings and Kygo and Gamble are probably enough points in them to get the win in the end. So I think Knights by about 8 points. And any first try scorer, I'll go with Tom Jenkins in his new colours. So start the Knights the debut off of the try. But anytime try scorers, Dylan Lucas in the back row, I like him. And I'll also go with this young fullback called Fletcher Sharp. And for the Sharks, I'll go with Samuel Stone Street and Sione Katoa for anytime tries as well. So that's my prediction for that game. Right, so the next game now, the double header. Obviously the last game of it is the Roosters taking on Manly. And there's been a fair few times where these two sides have played in trial matches. It's not the first time or the second time we've played Roosters in a trial match. It's happened many times over the last few years. So yeah, it should be good to play them again. But you see who's stronger. The Roosters have now pretty much their full strength team apart from a few players missing. But other than that, it's a really strong team, and yeah, that's a team that probably will, should do some good things, you'd think, on Saturday. But hopefully I'll back my boys to do some good things too. But going for the Roosters team first, fullback Tedesco, wingers Daniel Tupou and Dominic Young, who will make his Roosters debut. Billy Smith and Joseph Suaalii in the centre positions. Props are Nafahu White and Lindsay Collins. Hooker Zach Blocker-Clay. Back rowers Tupanua and Nat Butcher. Victor Radley at lock. There's a bit of fun there outside. Back rowers Sanders Smith, Terrell I keep saying back rowers to the bench for some reason, but the bench is Sanders Smith, Terrell May, Egan Butcher, and Angus Crichton, and funnily enough, Joseph Manu, 18th man, but he'll probably play either way. And for Manly, my team, at fullback Bailey Hodgson starts at fullback like last week again. The wingers are Jackson Paolo and Raymond Tuimalo Vega, so Paulo against his old club, obviously. The centres are Tommy Talau and Clayton Falalo. The halves are Jake Harper and Brendan Wakeham. The props are Daniel Paseka and Toff Sipley, and the hooker is Carl Lawton again. And the back row is Ben Trbojevic, who starts in the back row again, who had a great game against the Rabbitohs last week, scoring a hat-trick. And the other back row is Ben Condon, so that's interesting. And lock Nathan Brown, which seems to be favoured at the moment, Brown at lock. And the bench is Jamie Humphries, who gets picked at jersey 14 in front of Gordon, so that's interesting too. And the rest of the bench is Josh Schuster, who plays his first game for Manly of the season, and Ethan Bullimore and Aaron Woods make up the bench. So that's interesting, actually, very interesting. But look, I'll tip Roosters because their team is obviously stronger, but it doesn't matter who wins at the end of the day. But yeah, I think Roosters should win. They should win fairly well, but I think we'll put up a bit of a fight, hopefully, because I think these boys will want to make an effort for themselves because they'll be fighting for spots. So yeah, I think they'll definitely be fighting for some spots, and they'll definitely put in a wholehearted effort to try and get a result. But I think Roosters win by about 12 points. I'd say a scoreline of maybe 28 points to 28 maybe points to, let's go 16, I think, by that much, or that's 14 points. Yeah, but I'll go 28 to 16 or 28-18. Either way, they'll still win, Roosters, I think. But yeah, look, I think we'll put up a bit of a fight though, hopefully. So yeah, and first try scorer, I'll go with Dominic Young and his new colours for first try. But for anytime try scorers, I'll go with Sitili Tupanua. And for Manly, I'll go with Vega. I think Ben Trbojevic will score again. I'm pretty confident he'll have another good game. And yeah, I think Schuster will have an impact too, hopefully. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But that's my tip for that game. But come on, Manly. Right, this is also a double header, so it's a double header between Eels and Raiders, and the main game after is obviously Rabbitohs and the Dragons for the Charity Shield. But this is the first game at Cogra, Eels and Raiders, so I expect to see a fair few Eels and Canberra fans hopefully there. Good atmosphere at least. But yeah, Eels Canberra at 5:55 p.m. at Australia Jubilee. So let's go for both sides. Seems like both sides have named a fair few new players and pretty much their strongest squads as possible. So this will be cool to see. Looking at both sides, at fullback for the Eels, Blaze Salungi. I've heard a lot about this kid, so we'll see how he goes this Saturday. The wingers are Hayes Dunster and Sean Russell. The centres are Morgan Harper and Bailey Simonson. Hope Harper goes well. The halves are Dejan Assi and Ethan Sanders, who has been linked to Canberra actually. So yeah, that's interesting too. The props are Kai Rodwell and Offhiki Ogden. The hooker is Brendan Hands. Back row is Sean Lane and Kelman Talangi. So Kelman will make his Parramatta debut there too. And lock Ryan Madison, interesting. And the bench is Luca Moretti, Waimu Grigg, Matt Dury and Makahesi Makatoa. So that's the Eels team right there. And for the Raiders, fullback Chevy Stewart. I like him too, very good young kid, Chevy Stewart. The wingers are Nick Kotrick and Xavier Savage. The centres are James Schiller and Albert Hopewadi. The halves are Kyle Weeks and Ethan Strange. Hope Weeks goes well. The props are Emre Gula and Sammy Sulo. Hooker Zach Wolford. The back rows are Mitchell Spencer and Simi Sasangi. And the lock is Ata Mariota. And the bench is Tom Starling, Princeton Isira, Utaloa Asamua, and Jed Stewart, who's Ricky Stewart's son, off the bench. So there we go, that's both sides there for both Parramatta and Canberra. Looking at both sides, I'll go Parramatta. I think Parramatta have named a bit more of a stronger side and a bit more impact, I guess you can say, in that team. So I'll go Parramatta by about 10 points. I'd say they should get a fair few tries against Canberra, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Parramatta will win this game. So I think first try scorer is going to be Bailey Simonson against his old club in the centres. And anytime try scorers, I'll back Sean Lane for a try as well for Parramatta. And the other players I think will score a try is Chevy Stewart. I think Chevy Stewart for Canberra as their fullback will get a try as well. And I also will back in Xavier Savage to hopefully have a good game and bounce back and get a try. I like Xavier Savage, but he's lost his way into first grade, so hopefully he can sort of have the effort to fight back for a spot again. But yeah, Parramatta by 10 in this one. Right, on to the Charity Shield now. So the Charity Shield is always as big as it always is every year. Very exciting fixture to start the new season, obviously, and I am glad to say that I'll experience my first ever Charity Shield live at the stadium. So should be good. I'm looking forward to being there. So at Cogra. So yeah, but obviously Dragons are normally up for this game, so are South. So should be a good contest, I hope. But let's go through both sides. So for the Rabbitohs, at fullback is Jacob Gagai, and I've heard rumours that Jacob Gagai might actually be given exemption by the NRL to play round 1 against us, so that's because of South's injury toll. But the wingers are Alex Johnson and Tane Milne, and the centres are Isaiah Tass and Richard Kenner. The halves are 5'8" Dean Hawkins and halfback Lachlan Ilias. The props are Davido Totola and Sean Kepi. Go well, Sean. And the hooker is Peter Mamazelos, and the back rows are Keon Kalamatangi and Jai Arrow, and the lock is Cameron Murray. And off the bench, it's Jai Gray, Jacob Host, David Mwali, and Thomas Burgess. So not a bad side there by Souths. And for the Dragons, this is pretty much their best 1-7 team, I think. At fullback, Tyrell Sloan. The wingers are Zach Lomax and Makali Ravalawa. The centres are Moses Sully and Jack Bird, who's playing the centres. So maybe that could actually happen this season, Bird in the centres, but we'll see. And the halves are Kyle Flanagan, who'll make his Dragons debut, and Ben Hunt as the halfback. The props are Francis Molo and Blake Laurie, and hooker Jacob Little. And the back rows are Tom Eisenhoof and Jaden Sewer, and the lock is Jack DeBellin. And the bench is Connor Mahalaisen, Viliami Fafita, Ben Merck-Masilla, and Dylan Egan. I like Dylan Egan, heard good things about him. But in this game though, who am I tipping? I think Dragons have a bit more of a better backline, I'd say, just because Souths have injuries which you can't control. But Dragons have the backline, but the 4-pack Souths have, in my opinion. So It's funny how that works out, but overall, I know Dragons in the past have turned up against South Sydney in these Charity Shield matches and have won, but I think Souths will get the result, and I think Souths are overall more complete and better side than the Dragons, so I think they'll get the result in the end. But Dragons will always put up a fight in this sort of game, and they'll go close in my opinion. So Souths by 4, I reckon. Souths by 4, and yeah, it'll be a tight game. But first try scorer, I actually think, you know what, I think the Dragons will score first, actually, and I think Makai Ravalaba will somehow. But I think after that, Souths will just score a bit more tries in the end. And I think anytime try scorers for me, for the Rabbitohs, anytime try scorers are Alex Johnson, just have to back him, you have to. And I think Kalon Matangi will score 1-2 Keon, I can see him going over. And maybe Tane Milne on the wing too. And for the Dragons, I'll back in also Tyrell Sloan for a try. And I'll back in Jaden Stewart to score against his old club too. So there we go. I'm going Souths by 4 in the Charity Shield. Can't wait to be there. Right, moving on to Sunday now. And Sunday starts with the first game between the Warriors and the West Tigers at 2 PM Sunday Arvo. And it's at Apollo Project Stadium in Christchurch. So this game will be taken to Christchurch. And in the past, actually, the Warriors and the Tigers have played a few times in New Zealand for a trial game too. So good to see that trend is still going this year. But yeah, both sides seem to have named some pretty good players in both lineups, so it'd be good to see how both teams go. But for the Warriors, I'll start off with first. At fullback, Tane Tuapiki. The wingers are Setu Tu and Masa Montoya. The centers are Ali Lautawa and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is back for the Warriors. So how good is that? Good to see RTS in action. The halves are Chanel Harris-Davida, who will play his first game in nearly 2 years, and Luke Metcalf at halfback. The four-pack rates is this: Bunty Afoa and Tom Ale at props, Freddie Larsing at hooker, Jackson Ford and Jacob Labin in the back row, and Kalani going at lock. And off the bench, it's Eddie Eremiah Tuaiva, Zion Mayu, Tanner Stowers-Smith, and last guy is Leka Halasima. So I hope I said those names right. Gave it a go anyway. And for the Tigers, at fullback, Dream Buller. Great to see the Dream playing. Wingers are Charlie Staines and Junior Tupou. The centers are Solomona Fatape, who's a great player, and Declan Casey. The halves are Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Caesar, which I expect to be the halves pairing come round 1. And the props are Stefano Utoikamanu and David Clemmer. Hooker Apikorosia, back rowers Isaiah Papali'i and Asu Kapoa. So that Asu Kapoa trend in the back row is still going for another year. And at lock, it's Alex Seyfarth. And off the bench, it's Lachlan Galvin, Josh Folletti, Fanua Pole, and Samuela Fainu. So yeah, good to see a few young kids on the bench there. My tip for this game, it's probably a bit more of a toss of a coin game because I think this can go either way. I think Tigers have a bit more first graders named in that team, if I'm being honest, but because it's in New Zealand, and I think because RTS is back, and I think RTS will want to make a good statement in his first game back for the Warriors. And obviously, I know Metcalf probably is more likely for the 5'8" position, but I think between him and Harris-Davida, it's a real battle to see who does get that position in the end. So I think them two will have a lot to prove as well. Tigers could win 100%, but I think Warriors will get the win just. So I'll go to the Wires by about 6 points. And first try scorer, going to back in Masa Montoya. He scored a few tries last year in the trial between them and the Tigers at Mount Smart last season. So I think he'll score number 1. Anytime try scorers, I'll go with RTS to score eventually. He'll score a try, I guarantee it. To be honest, that's my guarantee of the week. RTS to score a try in the trials at some stage. And I'll go with Jackson Ford for a try too. He was arguably one of the most improved players last year, so I think he'll score a try too. And for the West Tigers, I'll back in Dream Buller, Solomona Fatape will score, and I'll also go with Isaiah Papali'i for a try too, but in the end, Wires by 6. Okay, on to the next game of Sunday trials. It's between the Cowboys and the Broncos, a derby, and this has been played at BB Prince Stadium in Mackay. So good old Mackay, good to see a game back there. Every time I see BB Prince Stadium, it reminds me of 2021 when a few clubs played there during the COVID years. So it's a very OG ground, I feel like, for some reason. But yeah, Cowboys and the Broncos at Mackay. Looking at both sides for the Cowboys, they've named a less experienced side, but that's probably a good thing, to be honest, not to risk injuries. But at fullback is Thomas Chester, wingers are Semi Valame and Robert Derby. The centres are Jodesai Tarara or Tiraha. Sorry about that. The other centre is Viliami Vilea, and the halves Jake Clifford, who is the captain, and Tom Duffy is the halfback. And the props are Thomas McHaley and Marley Bitangani, and hooker is Sean Mullaney. And the back rows are Jack Gazewski and Kuli Kefi-Filiaki, and lock is Sam McIntyre. And the bench is Kyle Schneider, Will Sullivan, John Rattle, and Jamal Shibasaki. So there we go, few rookies for that Cowboys team. And for the Broncos, fullback Reece Walsh, Corey Oates, and Dean Mariner are the wingers. The centres are Delois Huerta and Selwyn Cobbo start in the centres, which I think you will start the year in the centres too, I believe. And the halves are Jock Madden and Adam Reynolds. The props are Corey Jensen and Payne Haas. The hooker is Billy Walters, and the back rows are Brendan Piacura and Jane Hunt, and lock Patrick Carrigan. And the bench is Thomas Smoothy, Martin DePau, Fletcher Baker, and Kobe Hetherington. So there we go. Alright, look, I think Broncos will win because their team's more experienced, but I think the Cowboys, young guys, have a lot to prove too. But I think Broncos have got a stronger side, so that's why I think they'll win. So I'll go Broncos by about 14 points. And I think first try scorer will be Dean Mariner. Anytime try scorers though, I'll go with Selwyn Cobbo, and in the back row, Brendan Piacura. But for the Cowboys, I'll go with Tom Chester to score a try. I think Chester will have a good game. And I also think Filiaki might get one at any time too. So yeah, that's what I think for that game. Broncos by 14. Now onto the final game of the preseason challenge week 1. It is between the Dolphins and the Titans at Sunshine Coast Stadium, so at 6:15 p.m. And yeah, obviously from what it looks like, the Dolphins have a bit more of a stronger side than the Titans. But let me just say, that Titans team is very young and has a bit of rookies in it, and I've got to say it's a very typical Des team. You know, always in trials, Des has the names of a very rookie studded side, and a lot of backup players, a lot of rookies in that team, and it is like I've noticed that from the Manly days when he used to coach us. He had a lot of rookies always named, which is not a bad thing, but it's just very obvious by that team list that yeah, he's going all rookie and all backup reserves right in. But for the Dolphins, fullback Trey Fuller, the wingers are Jack Bostock and Jermaine Asako, the top try scorer last year. The centres are Tessie New and Herbie Farnworth. The halves are Isaiah Katoa and Sean O'Sullivan. The props are Tom Flegler and Mark Nichols. The hooker Jeremy Marshall-King. In the back rows are Ewan Aiken and Felice Kafusi. And the lock Tom Gilbert. And the bench is Max Plath, Fallon Stivare, Jake Avrillo, who will make his Dolphins debut, and Kurt Donahue. Right, there we go. And for the Titans, their team rates as this. Fullback, Jalen DeGroot. The wingers are Tony Francis, which I've heard a lot about, and Ken Mamalo, the very experienced Ken Mamalo on the wing. The centers are Aaron Shop and Jack Jarrod. And the halves are Tom Stedman, and the halfback is Kai Foxwell. The props are Luke Burden and Jordan Penquit, and the hooker is Baka Sikaheli, and the back rows are Ryan Ford and Seth Nikutimo, and the lock is Arama Howe, and the bench is Tom Weaver, Isaac Fasu-Malawi, Joe Stimson, and Khaleesi Haas. So that's the teams right there. Alright, look, because Titans are a really rookie and young side, I think the Dolphins will win by about 10 points. But yeah, I think Titans will still play well, but I think Dolphins with Herbie Farnworth making his debut along with Flegler for the Dolphins, and yeah, obviously Avrillo will have a big game too, I feel like, and Osako's still there. Tom Gilbert's back, so yeah, I think Dolphins will win and win well. So I'll go Dolphins by about 10. First trial scorer, I'm going to back in Herbie Farnworth too. And I'll also back in anytime trial scorers Tessie New and Trey Fuller. And for the Titans, look, I don't really know these names to be fair, but I'll just say that Kevin Mamalo scored a try. He's always scoring a try, Kevin Mamalo somewhere. And I'll also back in Tony Francis because I've heard a lot about Tony Francis, so I think he'll get a try at some stage too. But Dolphins by 10. But that there wraps up my pre-season challenge week 1 tips for 2024. It's going to be so good seeing the footy back, and I can't wait to attend a few games this weekend to sort of celebrate the week, how it's back, the footy. And it should be good to see how each club does go. But thank you for watching. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. But thanks for watching, and the footy is back.